I know, big Marvel poster for a DC movie, but I've got some DC stuff. It's about the extent of my DC stuff, but I have some stuff. Shazam! Nothing's gonna happen, I don't have the effects for that, but it's fun to say, isn't it? Shazam! Hey everybody, and thanks for clicking on this video and checking out my channel. So last night, I went out to see the newest in the DC Universe films, Shazam! So I thought I'd jump on camera and give my thoughts and opinions on it. If you'd like to give your thoughts and opinions about the movie, I welcome you to do so, and I'd love for you to do so down in the comment section below, and let's get a fun conversation going. And with all that out of the way, let's talk about the newest DC film out in theaters, Shazam! So Shazam is the 6th installment in the DCEU, and was directed by David F. Sandberg. And it stars Zachary Levi as the title hero. When Billy Batson is chosen by an ancient wizard, he acquires the powers of Shazam. At first it's all fun and games, but when a new villain portrayed by Mark Strong enters the scene, Billy must learn what it means to be a hero. DC has had a bumpy road at the start of their universe for many people, but over the past couple films of Wonder Woman and Aquaman, DC seems to be starting to find their stride with fans. And that streak continues with Shazam. There was a lot in Shazam that I really liked. It's a really nice family story with the character of Billy Batson, portrayed by Asher Angel. And when we first meet this character, he's a troubled youth. He's being put into a new foster home where he meets up with Jack Dylan Grazer's character. And he's really the best friend of Billy throughout this entire movie. And these two actors, these young actors, had really good chemistry together. I felt they brought a coming-of-age kind of feel to the story, and I really liked that aspect of the movie. And the thing about Shazam is that Billy has these powers that when he says Shazam, he's transformed into an adult male with all the powers basically similar to what Superman's powers are. And Jack Dylan Grazer doesn't just do a good job with his acting and his dynamic with Asher Angel, but he has to carry that dynamic that he has with Asher Angel as Billy when he transforms into Shazam with Zachary Levi. And the chemistry that he has with Zachary Levi is just as good as the chemistry that he had with Asher Angel. And speaking of Zachary Levi as Shazam, let's talk about him. Zachary Levi in this role is perfect. He doesn't just bring a fun energy to the role, he brings a fun energy to the movie. When he first comes on screen, that's when the movie really started for me. That's when I really got invested in it. He's just having such a fun time, he's having such a blast, he's such a delight to watch on screen. His energy and the joy that he is having is infectious, and I felt it throughout the rest of the movie, the minute he comes on screen to the very end. He also feels very consistent with the portrayal that Asher Angel gives as Billy. It feels very consistent with the portrayal and character that Asher Angel sets up in the beginning of this movie, and it carries through the rest of the movie. And Zachary Levi perfectly captures the joy of a kid gaining these powers, while also portraying the naiveness that would come with it. And to me, Zachary Levi's portrayal as Shazam was the best part of this movie. For the most part, this movie was exactly what I expected it to be. It feels a lot like it was inspired by the Tom Hanks movie from the 80s, Big. Just taking that screenplay that they were inspired by and translating it into a superhero film. But this movie also has a really dark tone to it, especially with everything having to do with the villain in this movie. And the villain in this movie, Dr. Savannah, portrayed by Mark Strong, I thought was a pretty decent villain. I liked the setup that they gave him. I felt like they gave him a motivation that I could get behind, and I understood why he was doing what he was doing. But the scenes that he has are much darker in imagery and tone and moments than the rest of the film has, so in that way, the tone can kind of feel a little inconsistent. When you come from this lighthearted, essentially family film, go from that lighthearted family scenes to these really kind of dark scenes with the villain and what he's doing. And the power that he possesses, I won't give it away, but the power that he possesses really, I think, will freak a lot of children out. I think if you take your kids to this, there's some things in here that are pretty intense, kind of scary, and might freak them out a little bit. And it was very different from what the rest of the movie was. And I kind of felt that way with the tone throughout the whole movie. It can be really dramatic, it can be dark, it can be lighthearted, it can be really goofy. There were some really weird cuts to some characters doing like the goofiest things, and giving really over-exaggerated and over-the-top performances than the rest of the people in the movie are giving. It kind of reminded me of some of the extras that are in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. And while I liked the family aspect of this movie, I thought it was done well. I feel like the movie feels like it hit it stronger than I felt it actually did. There were times where it did feel like this movie was trying to juggle the family stuff with the superhero stuff, and they couldn't always get a perfect balance of it. The superhero stuff definitely won out, and the family stuff really got the sidelines of the story. It's still there, I still think it's done well, but by the end of the movie, it just feels like they hit it stronger than I felt they did. And there was some parts that I felt were cliche and kind of made the story feel a little predictable, as well as the jokes. I felt like I could see a lot of the jokes coming from a mile away. But that being said, a lot of the jokes in this movie hit. They hit really well. The timing is so good. I was laughing numerous times throughout this movie. Even the ones that I thought I could see it coming from a mile away, when it happens, I still laugh because the timing and the way that they executed the humor and the joke, and even the slapstick, I thought was done very well. And I thought the effects in this movie were also very good, but there were times when I was watching it that I could see that an actor was obviously looking at a digital effect, like something that wasn't there, because the thing that was there and the way that they reacted to it, I didn't buy that that's how that character would react to seeing what they were seeing. It definitely felt like the actor not so much wasn't given the direction and not sure what they were looking at, but it just didn't feel like they knew exactly what they were looking at times. And the reaction that they were giving to what they were looking at did not feel genuine, and it just felt a little off to me. But with all that said, the negatives and the positives, I really liked Shazam. Like I said, Zachary Levi's joy is infectious. He has given it everything he's got, and he delivers a really fun, energized performance that I loved watching. I felt the cast all worked well together. I thought the movie had heart, it had solid humor, I thought the villain was decent, and the movie was just a lot of fun. It probably has the highest rewatchability for me out of all the other DCEU movies. And speaking of it being in DCEU, there are name drops of Batman and Superman, and there's evidence and Easter eggs that definitely tie it to the DCEU. Things that happened in previous movies are definitely kind of Easter eggs in the background in this movie. But this movie works incredibly well as just a standalone superhero movie, which is something that I've noticed DC is starting to do with their past couple of films, and they keep that going with Shazam. They don't feel as connected as they felt at the beginning with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and even Wonder Woman. They're starting to get more independent, and they're starting to let them become their own things and be distinctive, as opposed to being obviously attached to the greater DCEU. And also something I thought was really cool, like I said, I feel like this movie was definitely inspired by Big. There's a scene in a toy shop in this movie. There was some little moment that happened in the toy shop that I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely an homage to Big. Because it was way too close and kind of obvious to not be an homage or a reference to the scene in Big. Anyway guys, those are my general thoughts and opinions about the new movie Shazam. I really like the movie. I suggest you go check it out if you haven't yet. But what did you think of Shazam if you have seen it already? Comment down below, let me know. I want to know all your thoughts and opinions about the movie. And let's get a fun conversation going. Guys, thanks again for clicking on my video and checking out my channel. Once again guys, my name's Zachary Milne. Thank you for talking movies with me, and I hope you have yourself a great day. Also, side note, does anyone think that Dr. Savannah looks a little bit like Fearless Leader from the Rocky and Bullwinkle live-action movie? Because that was in the back of my head the entire time he was on screen.